The story of Jabez in the Bible. The story of Jabez is one of the shortest in the Bible, but it is also one of the most powerful. It is found in 1 Chronicles 4:9-10, and it tells the story of a man who prayed to God for blessing and enlargement, and God answered his prayer. Jabez's name means sorrow or pain. His mother named him this because she had a difficult childbirth. But Jabez was determined not to let his name define him. He cried out to God for blessing, and God granted his request. Jabez's prayer is a model for us all. It is simple, direct, and specific. He asked God for three things. Blessing. Jabez wanted God's blessing in his life. He wanted God's favor and protection. Enlargement. Jabez wanted God to enlarge his territory and his influence. He wanted to be used by God to make a difference in the world. Protection from evil. Jabez wanted God to protect him from the evil one. He wanted to live a life that was pleasing to God and free from harm. God answered Jabez's prayer. He blessed him, enlarged his territory, and protected him from evil. Jabez became a great man, and his name is still remembered today. Here are some lessons we can learn from the story of Jabez. God hears our prayers. Jabez's prayer was simple and short, but God heard it and answered it. We can be confident that God hears our prayers too, no matter how big or small they may be. God wants to bless us. Jabez asked God for blessing, and God granted his request. God wants to bless us too. He wants to give us the good things of life, such as health, happiness, and prosperity. God wants to enlarge our territory. Jabez asked God to enlarge his territory, and God did. God wants to enlarge our territory too. He wants to use us to make a difference in the world and to reach others with his love. God wants to protect us from evil. Jabez asked God to protect him from evil, and God did. God wants to protect us from evil too. He wants us to live lives that are pleasing to him and free from harm. Jabez was a man of prayer. He cried out to God for blessing and enlargement, and God answered his prayer. We should pray regularly too. We should talk to God about our needs and desires, and we should trust him to answer our prayers. Seek God's blessing. We should pray for God to bless our families, our jobs, our ministries, and everything else in our lives. Be willing to be used by God. Jabez wanted to be used by God to make a difference in the world. We should be willing to go wherever God leads us and to do whatever he asks of us. Trust God to protect you. Jabez trusted God to protect him from evil. We should trust God to keep us safe from physical harm, spiritual harm, and emotional harm. Jabez was born into a family of pain and sorrow. His mother named him Jabez because she had a difficult childbirth. But Jabez was determined not to let his name define him. He cried out to God for blessing, and God granted his request. Jabez's prayer is a model for us all. It is simple, direct, and specific. He asked God for three things: blessing, enlargement, protection from evil. What does it mean to be blessed by God? It means to be favored by God and to have his hand of protection on your life. It means to experience his goodness and providence in all things.